Hi, this is Ken Schaefer, and this is the first in a series of videos I'm creating to share my journey with getting erectile dysfunction, the treatment I received, the mistakes I made, and the mistakes my doctors made, and all the pitfalls along the way. I hope by sharing this that I can help other men avoid making the same mistakes and running into the same pitfalls. When I was 48, I started to exhibit the signs and symptoms of erectile dysfunction. I went into denial. I couldn't believe that this was happening to me. But after a few weeks, it was clear that it wasn't a temporary problem. It wasn't going to go away on its own. And I went to see medical attention. Unfortunately, by delaying medical attention, it is possible that the underlying problems can get worse and harder to treat. So that was my first mistake. So once I accepted the fact that I probably had erectile dysfunction and I needed medical help, I went to my primary care doctor and he ordered some testosterone tests. He didn't see any problems and he referred me to two specialists. One was an endocrinologist and one was a urologist. So first I went to the endocrinologist. He ordered an extensive set of hormone tests and he looked at the results and told me they looked fine. Unfortunately, I hadn't educated myself about these tests, and so I didn't catch the mistakes he made. When I went back to look at those tests several years later, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He had missed many red flags, and he didn't even order all the right tests. So, had I educated myself, I would have caught these errors to begin with, and I would have been able to deal with them at that time, and potentially my outcome could have been better. Next, I went to the urologist. The urologist gave me two sets of tests. One was a set of hormone tests, the other was a trimix injection. And the purpose of the trimix injection was to make sure it was physically possible for me to get an erection. And fortunately, it was. On the hormone tests, again, he looked at those tests and said everything looked fine. Unfortunately, I went back several years later, and of course, I saw that he had missed several red flags. And this seems to be a common theme with doctors that I've dealt with over the years. They do not know how to interpret testosterone tests correctly. Once the testing was done, the urologist prescribed either Viagra or Cialis. I can't really remember which one it was. It doesn't really matter. The problem was that he was just trying to treat my symptoms and not the underlying causes. My doctors and I made mistakes. I'll go over my mistakes first. And the first mistake I made, as I mentioned earlier, was going into denial and delaying treatment. The next mistake I made was not educating myself. If I had gone to those doctors knowing then what I know now, I would have caught their mistakes and I would have been able to deal with that at the time. I could have confronted them and I could have potentially gone to other doctors. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So my doctors made some mistakes. They both looked at my hormone levels and said they looked fine. I now know that they were both wrong. The endocrinologist not only didn't catch the red flags in my hormone test, but he didn't even order all the right tests. The urologist also made the mistake of simply wanting to treat my symptoms rather than the underlying causes. And unfortunately, when you don't treat the underlying causes, over time, they will get worse, and then the symptoms can't be treated. The result of all this was I ended up on Viagra and Cialis for a few years, many years, in fact. For a few years, they worked well, and for a few more years, they worked well enough, and then they stopped working. And that's where the next phase of my journey begins, and that's where I'll pick up on the next video. If you have ED and my story sounds familiar, if you're having similar problems, I hope you'll reach out because I can help you with that. You can reach me at healthysexualitywithken@gmail.com or you can call 978-798-0387. If you don't reach me directly, please leave a message with your contact information and I will get back to you. Until the next video, thanks for watching and goodbye.